2018 at 9 a.m. in the courthouse meeting room. Meeting room 2, northeast corner, 3rd floor, with 3 members present. At this time, would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And push the table up just a little. You guys are kind of proud of there. Thank you.
See that little emergency situation taken care of by one person?
Did you notice how easy that table stood? Yeah.
They finally put things under them. Way better.
Anyway, moving on. Notice to the public. The Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during the time allowed for discussion. And you're requested to approach the microphone, state your name for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given the opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chairperson to read the item from the agenda. The board is given an opportunity to comment on the issue and/or place a motion on the floor. The opportunity for discussion may be present, at which time the public may participate in a roll call vote then will follow. Okay, the first thing we got is item number 1, and that's approval or amendment of our agenda. 2 things I want to bring up, gentlemen. On item number 14, which is on page 6, we are going to insert on the second line just before the address, which is 3291 Hart Avenue. Just prior to that, we're going to insert Joel Damon.
Could you spell that, please?
Yes. D-A-M-M-A-N. And then one other one would be item, where'd it go? Write it down, let me look here. If I can't find it right away, we're going to go on. Where our road, no, right at the bottom of the first page, number 3. If you notice down in the main part of it, it talks about two townships. So back up on the line item here, proposed vacation of a portion of 110th Street, Bangor. We ought to insert at this point Bangor and Liberty Township. So with those 2 changes, I'd entertain a motion then that we would approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
And I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion, particularly on the amendments? If not, roll call vote, please.
Solosik?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay. Item number 1 has been approved. Moving on then to number 2. Item number 2. We have 2 people that we always enjoy this time when we can take a little bit of time, give out a piece of paper that is suitable for framing, or it also fits in your dresser drawer if that's where you want to put it. But do I have the right one? Luke, we appreciate, Luke works in our county law office downstairs, and you've been there 5 years.
Yep.
5, just goes by fast.
It does.
Let me read this real quick here. Certificate of appreciation. May it be known that Luke Hansen served Marshall County as an assistant county attorney. We are extending an expression of our appreciation for 5 years of service, and we hereby present this certificate. So again, thank you. David and Steve, do you want to jump up here and
We've been in the building 5 years. It only took us 4 years to get you to say anything. Once you started talking, it's been wonderful. And he does tremendous work.
Okay. And is Kyle here? I didn't see him come
Right
in.
there.
Go ahead.
Next to
Okay.
Luke.
Kyle, would you come forth, please? Kyle Kirk is also from downstairs in our law division down there, county attorneys. And a certificate of appreciation, again, may it be known that Kyle Kirk served Marshall County as a collections assistant. We are extending our expression of appreciation for 5 years of service. We hereby present this certificate to you. You guys do a great job. There's 2 of you in that area, I think, and you have represented the county well. We appreciate that. So, guys.
Thank you. Kyle works in our collections program with the county attorney's office that helps people pay their fines and gets them back on track. And it's a wonderful program. He started out part-time and is now full-time, and good guy.
Okay, moving on then. At this time, we have a public hearing. This is an item number 3. Proposed vacation of a portion of 110th Street, Bangor Liberty Township, Marshall County, Iowa. And do we have any interested persons present? Probably not. I think most of them are in Texas and Florida, to be honest with you. But we have total people here, David? 24 here. Okay. There are 24 people, interested people present for the public hearing on the proposed vacation of the following. All of 110th Street between the east right-of-way line of Frederick Avenue in Section 1, Township 85 North, Range 20, west of the 5th Principal Meridian, and the west right-of-way line of Glick Avenue on Section 6, Township 85, Range 19, west of the 5th Principal Meridian, all in Marshall County, Iowa. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Marshtown Times on April 19, 2018, and in the Mid-Iowa Enterprise newspaper on April 19, 2018. Notices of this hearing were sent to the following by certified mail: Margaret Johnson, Dale and Corrine Martin, Stephen Jessup, Barbara Fiskus, and Greg Durbin. And then we have local systems engineer, Iowa DOT, Grundy County, Iowa REC, Midland Power Co-op, Heart of Iowa Communications, Consumer Energy Co-op, and Interstate Power and Light Company. Are there any written comments that were sent to you?
There were none.
Okay, thank you. There were 0 individuals presenting written comments. Are there any people here this morning who wish to talk about this? There are 0. Supervisors and individuals present, 24.
Ken's here, make it 25.
That's going to goof us up.
That's okay, I'll go back and change it.
Okay.
I'll leave it, Ken.
No. Just stand out in the hall.
Then when you come back in, it'd be 26.
There you
right?
go.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
This is a closing of an old road that no longer has been, it hasn't been a road going across this farm ground probably for 50 years. And this just kind of cleans things up, gets it back on our tax roll, and the farmers then can say, this is my land, and the other one can say, this is my land, and it'll just be a lot better deal. So at this point then,
You got anything to
is there
add?
anything?
No, you got it.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, Paul, I didn't see you come in. You just slipped in, yeah, okay. At this time then, I would entertain a motion then to close the hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we close the hearing at 9:09 a.m.
I would entertain a second.
And I will second. Can I ask, are we looking at it right now on the screen?
Paul might be able to verify that a little better, but
No.
I think that's what we're looking at.
No, that's the other one.
That's the other one?
You just want to see if I was paying attention.
I like to keep you on the subject.
He wants to play with his new beacon toy.
How about that one there? Between,
It's up here, it's this one. This half and this half. There we are.
As you can see, was the half on the right side, they're already farming, the other half is totally closed. This will allow them to fill that in and be taxed again.
I know you corrected the township name and just in the title of the item, but in the description of the property, both townships are in that description because that township 85, range 19 actually is the other township. So
I understand.
It was shown correctly in the meat
Yeah,
of it.
yeah, and you evidently weren't here when I said that.
Yeah, he corrected and added,
I thought, I heard you had Liberty Township, but
Okay,
it was right in the middle of it.
yes. and
I'm
we-
surprised.
We said that,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm surprised it took so long for somebody to request this.
I'm finding a couple other areas where we have right of way and no road, and so I'm gonna kind of look for some others in the future if we can get them out there. If there's no public purpose to keeping the right of way, I
No.
don't wanna get rid of it.
Is it a half mile?
That's a mile.
That's a full mile there. Okay. Yes, all right.
You know, it'll get it back on the tax rolls, and any easements for utilities or anything remain with the property. It's just what we're giving up.
Yes, it could be 3 or 4 acres.
Yeah,
A mile.
about.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes?
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That has passed. Next then is item number 4, proposed vacation of a portion of 277th Street, State Center Township, Marshall County, Iowa, petition 845. This is a public hearing then. We will open. We have 25 interested persons present for the public hearing on the proposed vacation of the following. All that part of 277th Street located within the northwest quarter of the southwest quarter and in the northeast quarter of the southwest quarter of Section 32, Township 83, north, Range 20, west of the 5th Principal Meridian, all in Marshall County, Iowa, lying east of the east line of Lot 4 of the North Subdivision. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Marshalltown Times-Republican on April 19, 2018, and the Mid-Iowa Enterprise newspaper on April 9, 2018. Notices of this hearing were sent to the following by certified mail: Matt and Lynn Stewart, Corey and Shannon Eldridge, Greg Durbin, local systems engineer, Iowa DOT, Quest Corporation, CenturyLink, Northern Natural Gas, State Center Municipal Utilities, U.S. Sprint, McLeod USA, ITC Midwest, Union Pacific Railroad, Consumers Energy Co-op, and Interstate Power and Light Company. None of those came back with a problem. Okay. There were
There were 0
0.
individuals.
Are there any
presenting.
questions or objections
No.
today? That is 0. Moving on then to the next page. Supervisors and individuals present and oral comments in the hearing. 0. I asked, no one, again, anyone wanting to say or speak to this? Okay. If not, the motion, then I would entertain this motion at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to close the hearing at 9:14 a.m. No action can be taken at this time since claims for damages can be filed until 4:30 p.m. on this date. This decision will be made at the Board of Supervisors regular session on May 15th, 2018.
Okay, is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
Been moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Solosik.
Yes.
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Moving on then to item number 5 is the Master Matrix LTA Farms LLC Hog Heaven Finisher Site Construction Permit Application Public Hearing. At this time, we'll open this hearing then at 9:15. At the public hearing, any resident may present objections to or arguments in favor of a construction permit application for an animal confinement feeding operation for LTA Farms LLC Hog Heaven Finisher Farm Site Facility ID 70146, located in Section 20, Logan Township. The type of proposed confinement feeding operation structure, 2 new 2,500 head deep pit swine finisher confinement buildings for a new swine confinement facility. Animal unit capacity of the operation is 2,000 animal units. That's 500 head of swine finishers. What did I say? I will read that whole sentence again. Animal unit capacity for the operation is 2,000 animal units, 500 head, 5,000 head of swine finishers. My mind is, keep me straight here, guys. Okay, Nan, were there any written comments received?
There were not.
0?
0 written.
I have a few written comments, but
I will, at this time then, any individuals attending the public hearing may present oral comments, questions, or objections. So step up here, come to the mic, and state your name and your address.
Okay, yeah, they just needed to be to my office prior, but yeah, I'll keep it here with this.
Wayne Sponheimer, and my wife and I own Busby Meadery, and we're located just 2 miles south of the proposed site. And we have some concerns over the economic impact to our business. Our business is a winery. We produce honey wine on site, and we also consider ourselves a tourist destination in Marshall County. We actually have kind of taken it upon ourselves, and we feel that we are literally a gatekeeper for tourism to Marshall County. We're right on the county line. We have a lot of tourists coming from the metro area and from all over the state, and we are expanding our operations. We're growing as a business, and part of that expansion is an outdoor event space. We're heavily invested personally. This is our business, our income, and our livelihoods, and we feel that the potential for the economic impact for us is great. I'd like to point out that for the most part we understand that winds are prevailing in Iowa, but this year, and along with any other year, the last couple days has been a good example of this as well, where the wind can be extremely unpredictable. For the last month or so, the wind's been from the north towards our place. We feel that with the sheer number of hogs that would be at this facility, with the pits and the spreading of manure, we feel that it would have a pretty big economic impact on our outdoor events. We have recently done a Kickstarter campaign, a crowdfunding campaign, and we've had a lot of rural Marshall County residents contribute to that with the hopes of having an outdoor event space. With John Ernst Vineyard closing down their Sunday music operations, we've been looking into doing more of that. We've had a successful music event before, and we have some planned for the future. And we'd like to voice our opposition because of our fear of great long-term impact.
You're 2 miles to the south.
2 miles to the south. If we hop on the blacktop, it doesn't take very long for us to be able to see where the proposed operation would be. So, thanks for considering.
Are there any others? Yes, sir.
My name is Dean Damon. I'm a Jasper County resident and just about a half mile south of the county line. I do have a farm. It is within a quarter mile of the proposed site, and I have another farm that is 3/4 of a mile to the east that has a recreational pond, and we have a picnic and stuff up there like that. And I raise my hogs myself, and yeah, there's times where it smells and everything like that, but depending on the wind and what you're doing. But in the most part, I've had it for 30 years, and I haven't had any complaints on mine. And with the Jordan Van Sice family, 5 generations of raising farming, and their farming practices have been top notch over the years. We've been neighbors, and I foresee no reason why they won't continue having good farming practices and being considerate to the neighbors on this. And I guess that's and what I've heard on this new building is that it's with the new ideas and new technology, that it will help cut down on odor and spreading of the diseases and stuff. So,
How many animals would you have in your facility?
I've got 900 in mine. Yeah.
One
So,
building.
yeah. So, and I've got an outside lagoon. This one will be under a pit inside. Yeah. So
there'd be certain times of the season your lagoon would...
there are different times. Most generally, when the wind is out of the east, is when you'll have a problem. And I live there, so I smell it. What I sometimes don't like is when people don't live there and other people smell it. But he lives on the farm, and so if he's going to smell it, or anybody's going to smell it, he's going to smell it. But yeah, most generally an east wind has been more so, not a problem, but you could smell it more. Air's a little heavier, more moisture in the air, and air's a little heavier. So.
Any questions for Dean?
Damon, D-A-M-M-A-N.
A.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Dean. Anyone else? Do you have anything you want to talk about as far as the new technology that you described?
Sure.
As far as holding the odor down?
Yep.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Crawling with Iowa Select Farms. We're proud to do this project in partnership with the Van Sice family. We've really enjoyed it thus far, and we're hoping to continue that for years to come. The question on the new technology on the barns, so this will be a 2-barn site. It'll be tunnel ventilated, which means there will be vent fans on the north side of the barn and curtains on the south side of the barn to allow air to flow through to cool the animals. There will be curtains on the sides. Those will be emergency curtains, only in the case that there's power failure or something like that. The curtains will drop to allow air to go through to keep the animals cool in the summertime.
So, I'm going to stop for a second. The air comes through the curtains, through the building, and out the north fans.
Yep, so the air is pulled through the building to the north, and that's predominantly during the summer when we need to keep the animals cool. During the winter, we kind of close up shop a little bit to keep them warm. There will be pit fans that will run, but during the winter, it'll be a minimal fans running on the farm. So the air during the summer months, which is usually when we have concerns about odor the most, will be exhausted out of the barn to the north through those vent fans. About 12 feet north of the building will be an electrostatic fence. This is a new technology that electrifies dust particles that come out of the barn. Odors travel on dust, and so we're basically taking away the odor's vehicle. The intention of the fence is to capture some of that dust so it doesn't travel far. On the other side of the fence, so you go fans, electrostatic fence, then there will be a row of trees, and then on the other side of the row of trees is a small row of shrubs. Along 2 sides of the building, on the sides of the building, there will be also a row of Techni arborvitae evergreen trees. So the intention of the trees is to keep the smell down. The intention of the trees is not to hide the site, so there aren't any trees on the front of it. But these are the odor mitigating strategies that we've put in place in an effort to be a better neighbor to keep the smell down.
Have you used that anywhere else on your operations?
We only have 2 fences up right now. They're in Hardin County, but on all of our barns that we're building this year going forward, if it's a new farm, we'll have the electrostatic fence and the trees. It's a huge investment for the company to make.
And are you find out it's making a difference?
We will be finding, we're going to do research on a couple of them. There has been research done out of Iowa State University on the trees and the fences that show significant odor reduction, and we just want to validate that on our own, and so we are going to do a study on those fences ourselves. But the studies that have been done show reduction up to 60%. But any other questions?
Moving manure, is that a twice-a-year project, or is that?
The plan for the site is to do it once a year prior to, or just after harvest, I'm sorry, but sometimes there's extenuating circumstances that may require us to do it in the spring, but the plan is to do it in the fall.
And that's all injected?
That is all injected, same day. Now, it will smell for a few days. I know Jordan has made a commitment to let folks know to the best of his ability when he thinks that's going to happen. It will be very late in October, early November would be most likely time frame for that to happen.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
You've answered mine. Thank you. Anyone else?
I got a question for these folks, Sponheimer. How late in the year?
We hold events all year round. I think
Late
last,
October, you're getting into November now.
yep, that's still considered our busy time of year. Last year, it was warm almost into December. We were mowing our lawns in November, December. Granted, that's not a predictable thing, but we do host a variety of events throughout the year. You know, we have reenactment groups that come out in the very late fall because that's the end of their season, and we schedule a whole event with food trucks around that. And so with our future event space, we'll start hosting outdoor weddings, different music events, and as those get booked, you know, it's a pretty important day for whoever's booking that.
Good. Answered?
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I would motion that we close the public hearing at 9:23 a.m.
And I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Not? Roll call vote, please.
Solosik.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay. Closes our public hearing. The next is item number 6, and this is a resolution, 2018-0024. Resolution Master Matrix LTA Farms LLC Hog Heaven Finishers Farm Site Application for Construction Permit for an Animal Confinement Feeding Operation, Facility ID 90146. The construction permit application for an animal confinement feeding operation from the LTA Farms LLC was published in the Marshalltown Times-Republican, Marshalltown, Iowa, on April 20th, 2018, and the Mid-Iowa Enterprise State Center, Iowa, on April 26, 2018. And this is somewhat redundant. You had one written comment, which we received today. We had 3 individuals today, and now, at this time, does the board have any further discussions before we move along? The process of this we have here, that the swine operation has to go through, is about this thick, It's a matrix that goes through the DNR. They do cover a wide range of questions that have to be answered. Many of them are like how far away is the nearest neighbor, how far away is a cemetery, a business in this case, and they have minimum requirements for that, and we could not go any further unless that had been all accomplished, and I can say that has been all accomplished, and you've received all those from the DNR in that respect. As far as the matrix, everything is here.
It's past the master matrix.
That is public information. That isn't something that we just file and never look at again. If anyone wants to look at that, they can. It doesn't go out of our office. You can come in our office, or you can contact the DNR and get your own copy, probably. But I just wanted to be sure that everyone knows that is there. You can see how that's done. Anything else that we need to discuss?
I just want to make sure that we're all good neighbors here. I don't want to have any effect on the Sponheimers on the meadery. But when they're moving manure, I would think something could be worked. There's only a 3 or 4 day period there that would probably have an odor. I'd like to think the parties could maybe work together and not let it affect each other. So I guess those are my thoughts. 2 miles, there's 2 miles between the two of you, so that's a lot of area to disperse any odor.
I live in the country, and if you're within a quarter mile, you definitely have an opportunity to have some smell. At 2 miles, I don't smell the ones 2 miles away from my place, but I can't say if what I do up there is going to be down here. That's just just from my personal experience. South is the perfect place to be. And we have had some north winds here lately, particularly 30 mile an hour and 40 mile an hour winds. But most of the time, I would have to say, as living in the rural area, most of the time the winds are not from the north. During a time when one would want to be outside, those north winds, northwest winds seem to come during the winter, and they're generally driving some snow at the same time. So that's kind of the rest of the story I look at. If there's no further discussion, we'll move on. Now therefore be resolved by Marshall County Board of Supervisors to recommend approval for the Department of Natural Resources on the construction permit application of an animal confinement feeding operation from LTA Farms LLC Hog Heaven Finisher Farm site, dated in Marshalltown on this day 1 of May 2018. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve Resolution 2018-0024, Master Matrix LTA Farms LLC application for construction permit for an animal confinement feeding operation. Facility ID number 70146, located in Section 20, Logan Township, Marshall County, Iowa.
Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
Been moved and seconded to adopt this resolution. Any further discussion?
No, sir.
If not, roll call vote, please.
Solosik?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, item number 6 has been passed or adopted. Moving on then to the consent agenda. Approved minutes from the regular session of April 17, 2018. Number 8 is accept annual manure management plan update in Latino Farms. 8 LLC ID number 59034, annual update report received and placed on file with the following changes made to the manure management plan, acres added, and change crop rotation or optimum yields and used manure analysis. Number 9 is accept the sheriff's quarterly report, 318, general basic services of $18,347.59, general basic interest checking, $11.92, and then in general basic mileage fees of $3,384.80. Item 10 is approved claims as audited and authorize the county auditor and recorder to issue payment of the same. The listing of claims paid at this meeting and all claims paid in the month of May will be published as part of the first meeting in June. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I motion that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Second?
I would second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion on any of the items we had here? If not, roll call vote, please.
Solosik?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay. Our consent agenda has been approved. Item number 11, approve personnel actions. And Michael, are you here? Michael, do you have anything you'd like to say? These are pretty straightforward. Okay? Yep. Wanted to give you a chance. These are there's two coming up here. Hire Nicole Jones, Conservation, MCCB, temporary seasonal rate of pay $10 per hour effective May 7th, 2018. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I motion that we approve personnel hire Nicole Jones, Conservation Department, temporary seasonal rate of pay $10 an hour, effective May 8th, 2018.
And I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I think this is a good opportunity to get some people some training and maybe some interested people to come back at another time. No, that's a good. I think it's a good way. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Solosik?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay. Motion is carried. B, same situation. Hire Julie Stahl, Conservation, MCCB, temporary seasonal rate of pay $10 per hour effective May 7th, 2018. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to hire personnel Julie Stahl, Conservation, MCCB, temporary seasonal rate of pay of $10 an hour, effective May 8th, 2018.
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
Any further discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Solosik?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, that motion is carried. Moving on then to C of item number 11. This involves Paul. Paul, anything you want to say on that?
This is a promotion of Brian Dieter from he's a truck driver in our Marshalltown shop, and he bid on the motor grader route vacated by the retirement of Mike Burton. That's just go through the internal posting processes, and this is the end result.
Has Mike left us yet?
He's end of the month, I think, and then there's the vacation, and all
the other stuff.
How many years has Mike been with us?
I cannot tell.
I can't remember when he hasn't been here.
It's not as many as some of them because Mike previously worked for Sesper Construction, so he had a lot of years there. He came to us from construction.
And he's down out of Ferguson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I motion that we approve the change of status and change of rate of pay for Brian Dieter, secondary road, full-time change of status from truck driver 3 to patrolman 2, change rate of pay from $24.92 an hour to $25 an hour, effective June 5th, 2018.
And I'll second.
Been moved and second to approve. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Solosik?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Motion's carried. Moving on then to item number 12, request for the use of the courthouse grounds. Marshalltown Football League respectfully requests the use of mobile band shell for a fundraiser event, Kidney for Mickey, to be held at the American Legion on Saturday, May 12, 2018, from 12 to 7. Anyone here from that league? Don't have to be. If you were, I was going to give you a chance to say something. This is pretty straightforward. They have to sign an application, give us a check, and also show that the liability, that we are included in their liability insurance. So that's all been done. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the request from the Marshtown Football League, respectfully, the use of mobile band shell for a fundraiser event called Kidney for Mickey to be held at the American Legion on Saturday, May 12, 2018, from 12 to 7 p.m.
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
Been moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Solosik?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, motion's carried. Going to item number 13, request use of the courthouse grounds, Sports Plus Medicine and Physical Therapy requests the use of the courthouse grounds effective May 14, 2018 through May 14, 2019 for clients to access the courthouse grounds on occasion for physical wellness activities associated with treatment therapy. And there again, we spent some time, Lisa checked with our insurance and checked with them to be sure that we are listed on the liability in case some silly thing would happen. And if you don't plan that, then that's when they happen. So we're covered there. So is there any further discussion?
From time to time, they've used our grounds for people running where they have a drag chute behind them and they just need grassy areas. This has been done in the past. It was approved probably 7 or 8 years ago when this first started out. There's never been an incident, and they've always listed us as additional insured.
We're good.
It's worked out well.
Yep.
Okay, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would motion that we approve this request from Sports Plus Medicine and Physical Therapy for use of the courthouse grounds effective May 14th, 2018 through May 14th, 2019 for clients to access the grounds on occasion for physical wellness activities associated with treatment therapy. A certificate of liability insurance naming Marshall County as additional insured has been received from Sports Plus Medicine and Physical Therapy effective May 14th, 2018 through May 14th, 2019.
And I would second.
Yeah, it's been moved and seconded. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Solosik?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Moving on then to item number 14, submitted to local authority. A request from Tap This Concession and Back Pocket Brewery for a sale of beer and food located at Joel Damon, 3291 Hart Avenue, Melbourne, Marshall County, Iowa. Owner. On the July 25th, 2018 Ragbri stop, a signed property usage and release agreement has been received and placed on file. Tap This Concession and Back Pocket Brewery operators are required to maintain standard liquor liability and dram shop insurance to protect owner and operator against any damages or negligence. The license is effective July 24, 2018 through July 25, 2018. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the sale of beer and food at 3291 Hart Avenue, Melbourne, Marshall County, Iowa, July 24th through 25th, 2018, during the Ragbri stop by Tap This Concession and Backpack Brewery.
Okay, is there a second?
Mr. Chair, I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Paul, just a quick question. At that address, is that going to create any problems with traffic? No more than Ragbri is going
Traffic's gonna be
to?
the 40,000 bicycles.
Yeah. The wheels on the bike go round and round. Okay.
If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Solosik?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Okay, the next is item number 15, and this is just for information. And this is changing room numbers on third floor meeting rooms, effective Wednesday, tomorrow, May 2nd, 2018. The two meeting rooms on the third floor of the courthouse will be renumbered. Meeting room number 2 will now be labeled meeting room number 1. Meeting room number 1 will now be labeled meeting room number 2. Please be aware of these number changes when scheduling and/or attending future meetings in these rooms. Main thing is there's always a lot of misunderstanding to people who do not come here often, and they think this is number 1, and they think that one over there is harder to get to, harder to find. They think that should be number 2. So we're changing them. This is going to be number 1. Number 1 gets used a lot more than number 2 anyway. So, any questions?
How many committee meetings were there to make this decision?
That's a bad question.
Went on for months.
Not
It's
many?
mostly, I'm changing the signs, and I can't think of a better time to do it.
No open meeting laws were broken?
Okay.
I don't think I asked permission.
Because there's been a lot of controversy on this item. Adam, we expect to see this above the fold tomorrow? Slow news day.
Anyway, this is for information, folks.
I can see the headline now.
And, moving,
Supervisors are number 1.
moving on down the line here, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. Item number 16, setting the date and time for a public hearing. To set the date and time for a public hearing on Tuesday, May 15, 2018 at 9 a.m. in Marshall County Courthouse for a confinement feeding operation construction permit applied for Jared Whitaker, site ID number 70163. Chair, entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to set the date and time for a public hearing on Tuesday, May 15, 2018 at 9 o'clock a.m. in Marshall County Courthouse, third floor, meeting room number 1, previously labeled meeting room number 2, for a confinement feeding operation construction permit application from Jared Whitaker, site ID number 70163.
And so it begins. Mr. Chairman, I will second that.
Been moved and seconded. Okay, if there's any further discussion, if not, roll call vote, please.
Solosik.
Yes?
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay. Motion is carried. This will be publicized in the paper. Item number 17, setting the date and time for a public hearing. To set the date and time for a public hearing on Tuesday, May 15th, 2018 at 9 a.m. at the Marshall County Courthouse, 1 East Main Street, Marshall County, Iowa, third floor, meeting room number 1, previously meeting room number 2. Northeast corner for the Green Mountain wastewater treatment facility project. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I motion that we set Tuesday, May 15th, 2018 at 9 a.m. for the Green Mountain wastewater treatment facility project public hearing, Marshall County Courthouse, 1 East Main Street, Marshalltown, Iowa, third floor, meeting room number 1, previously labeled meeting room number 2 in the northeast corner.
And I would second.
Moved and seconded to set the date for our public hearing. Any discussion? If not, roll call vote, please.
Solosik.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to number 18. This is the discussion aspect here, discussion of personnel policy topics to provide recommendation to the Personnel Policy Committee. And Nan Benson, you are up.
Okay, you all have a handout. It's in color, so we won't get bored. Basically, what I'm looking for is to just pose these topics. We will discuss this again at the May 15th meeting after you've had some time to think about it. And really what we're looking for is recommendation, direction, so that our group doing the personnel policy doesn't spin our wheels and come back to you and you say, ooh, we can't do that. So we're really just looking for direction. So today I'm just presenting the items in question, and then we'll revisit it again on the 15th. So the first item there, which is the bottom half of the first page, talks about there's really two committees listed in our personnel policy. There's the Personnel Policy Committee and then the subcommittee. And it appears to me that the subcommittee is for the job grading kind of aspect of our HR area for the county, and which really honestly does not exist. And I think it needs to be removed from this and have it be a separate policy. So my recommendation is just to remove all the subcommittee language from the personnel policy manual. So you can think on that one.
Do we need to have what meeting room they need to meet in?
No, we are not talking about the meeting room. Naughty, naughty. The top of page 2 is continuation of that subcommittee. So I've just kind of pulled a few excerpts out just to kind of assist our committee when we get to that point. The bottom of page 2 is in section 3 talking about employment practices. And one of the things that, I'll be honest, I was surprised at when I started here is that we do not do any background checks for folks that are in a financial position, whether they be in the auditor's office, treasurer's office, you know, maybe it's the somebody at the sheriff's office that's handling funds, those type of things. May want to, so something to think about if we want to add that as something we do during our recruiting process. And when we get to the point where John Smith is our selected candidate, that this is one of the things we do besides just the reference checks. So think on that one. And then that's kind of, there's two sections there. Currently for our holiday pay for our employees, we do not, we kind of hold the holiday pay during probationary time. And currently our probationary period is 6 months here at the county, but it's at the discretion of the elected official or the department head. Many times they take them off probation early just so they're not getting, you know, having to wait on their holiday pay. If somebody starts in November, they would have 2 days at Thanksgiving, probably 1 or 2 days around Christmas, and a day in January in that 6 months, and that's quite a few days. And if you've got somebody that's a new college grad, that's a big financial hardship. I'll be honest, it's the first place I've ever worked where I've seen we hold the holiday pay. It's a big also bookkeeping issue for my department, keeping track of holding that as well. So there's kind of both aspects of that. I would like to remove that. I think it's fine that we don't let people take sick and vacation during their probationary period unless previously approved by the department head or elected official. But the holiday pay, I'd like to cross that out. So that's one to, I think would make life a lot easier, I know, for the folks in my office as well as our new hires. Top of page 3 talks about the payroll dates and kind of policy and hours. And it's very interesting in our manual. It's really up to any organization whether they pay overtime on more than 40 hours a week or on 8 hours a day. Our policy says or. It is up to each department to determine how they want to do that. The problem is in current practice, our departments are using it both ways in their favor, and that's not, we should not be doing that.
Is there a federal law that we have to follow there?
We can do either, but we need to have a policy.
Okay.
They're both legal. We just need to do it one way or another.
The only thing I'm getting at is if there's a federal law that would supersede what our policy is, there's no sense
Right,
having
it's no, but it can be done either
Okay.
way. Our two unions currently do the 40 hours per week. So my personal recommendation would be to go to that route just to be consistent in the county. To me, that's easy.
I would agree. Let's make it, if we could, the same as the unions.
The same as the unions. Now, one of the other things, the current policy talks about, it's a little gray how it's worded. I think it needs to be clarified a bit. What hours are counted as hours worked? If somebody's in a holiday week, Monday's holiday pay, they work 10 hours the other 4 days, I think holiday and vacation time should count towards overtime. And that's really currently our practice, is how we're doing things in the county. But I want you to kind of think about that. Sick time normally is not counted, or unpaid time. That one seems kind of a given, but I thought I'd just throw that in there as well. Any questions on that? Okay. We get down to the bottom, page 3, and I will tell you that our travel policy is a bit out of date. I think this policy, if I've seen something in 1991, I think is the date of this policy. So we've currently got $30 per day for meals. I think we need to either update that rate, or I've got a little excerpt from the Iowa Department of Administrative Services. Some places I've seen actually break out the meals. You get so much at breakfast, so much at lunch, so much at dinner. If you're only happen to buy one meal, you don't get the whole $30 or $45 or whatever you determine per day. You have a set meal amount. So just a couple different schools of thought there for you to kind of think on and how you want to put that in the policy. Under the same on our travel, if we go to the top of page 4, and we go to the hotel. Currently, we have $75 for our hotel rate. I don't know about you, but you can't get a very nice hotel for $75. So we need to update that amount. You'll notice it does say the dollar amount plus applicable taxes. And we all know when we go to a hotel, it seems like what you end up paying is quite a bit more, depending on the town's hotel motel tax. So, but it's still hard to find a $75 room. There is one additional piece there. There's another, it says add mileage traveled for hotel reimbursement allowed without prior approval of department head due to later meetings. One of the things I've heard discussions, and it was brought up in our audit, was folks staying overnight in Des Moines when we're only 40 minutes away. So if we want to have some sort of a mileage, number of miles for our overnight hotel in state. Now I know that one of my employees had some training here recently, and her training went till 9 p.m. and check-in started the next morning at 7:15. I told her she could get a hotel. That's a pretty short turnaround. She said it's faster for her to drive home than to pack a bag, so she ended up coming home, but I left it up to her. And it was winter, but there were no weather issues, so that does make it a little different too. So I think we need some discretion there to allow certain circumstances, but I just had some recent ISAC meetings, and I was done at 4:30 in Des Moines, and I had to be down the next day at 8. It's a 40-minute drive, 45-minute drive to downtown. The speed limit. I drive right by the sheriff's office. I'm not going to speed.
It takes me an hour to get downtown.
Well, I'm not in Marshalltown, so that is a difference. I live by the jail, so I'm a little bit closer. But I mean, even an hour's drive's not awful, but it depends. If you're there the night before till 9 o'clock, again, that's been something that was brought up in our audit, so it's something, chew on that a while.
There's several ways to look at it. One too, is that if you have an opportunity after it's all done, and they generally have pop or something around that you can...
Little networking, yes.
And networking is important.
It is.
And if you just take off, boom, you're gone, you're going to miss out on the networking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there is goofing off and so on too, but if you're really sincere about learning, there's networking available.
Yes.
And I think we want to be cognizant of that.
And that's why I want it left up to some discretion. Again, I'll go back to my recent ISAC meeting because it's my best example. I was there the one night till about 8 o'clock. I did drive home and turn around. Again, I'm kind of like Jesse, and it's easier to drive home and drive back than to pack a bag and get a hotel. Some of that's kind of a hassle.
Not sleep in your own bed.
Not sleep in your own bed. So everybody's got your personal preference. Having the employee working with the manager, I think, is important. But even if we state it here, I think it's going to make people think about it a bit. Because really, my next night, it was a 3-day thing. My next day, I was done at 4:30. Well, that's no big deal to, drive back and go back. But the one night was a later night. So
We also talked about when we got done with our audit from home, that run these through you as the auditor.
they are now being, I do go through all travel.
So it can come through not only the department head, but then come to you for that approval. And that's something I would suggest, so that we've got a double layer of eyes looking at this.
I really like you just led right into the bottom of the page. You're so good.
I don't even have my glasses on. I didn't even see it yet.
We currently have for out of state that they are supposed to get prior approval from the Board of Supervisors, and I don't think we're doing this.
No.
So something for you to think about if it is something we should do. Just going to throw that out there. Sorry, I need to go back up. If you'll notice the little bit of red there, if not overnight, there's meal reimbursements if you're traveling for a day. So let's say you've got a meeting in Des Moines, you do lunch, come back. If that noon lunch does not have a business purpose, that is taxable to the employee. And so you do have to substantiate that there's a business purpose.
Explain that a little bit more. In other words, if there's not a meeting going on during that lunch
If you're
period,
having
it's not
business
counted.
discussion, if you're just stopping, if you got, okay, you break for lunch, and now it gets a little bit hard in that time where, okay, I'm down at ISAC, I had to buy my lunch because the one meal wasn't approved. It was actually my HR conference that I went to. There was no lunch provided with the conference. I had to go get lunch. I wasn't staying overnight, and I was by myself. Now, I have some good conversations with myself, but really, that's not a business purpose.
Now, if you would have stayed in Marshalltown, would you have brought your lunch here?
I'd have brought my lunch.
You would have brought your lunch.
So that's always an opportunity as well. But because I had to be on the road at 6:30 in the morning that morning, too, to get to the conference, it's, so you've kind of got some things that way. I do want to add that wording to just provide clarity so employees understand. It just that's an IRS law. We can't, we can't change that one. If you can, go for it. But I just wanted to add a little bit more clarity to help the employees out.
It's not very often we have out-of-state travel.
It isn't.
It's basically, we've had instances where the sheriff may have had to send somebody to a conference, Veterans Affairs.
VA does some.
Paul may go on something for the engineer. I know we've had an opportunity a time or two where the IT department has sent somebody out of state. It's pretty rare. Yep, but
Well, and I know there was some election training Cindy mentioned that
Yep.
was in Kansas City. They
Indianapolis
went
and
and
Kansas
are,
City, yep.
that there is some training that we have to get them certified for the election stuff that's in different parts of the country. So, but there's not a lot. All of this stuff I've seen since the audit, it's mostly been in-state. It's just very little. So, and that could be, if you instead want it to be, pre-approved, have both of us looking at it, that's fine too. That's an option. So, some things to think about. Page 5, vacation, holidays, and leave of absence. I'm getting towards the end of my 7 minutes, I know it. One of the things we've had some requests for is donated time to other employees. And since I've been here,
I was talking to you.
Lucas said I've went 15.
Pretty close so far.
The egg timer's broke.
Yeah, it broke. Donating time to other employees, and I hope I'm never an employee that needs to be a recipient of this. It's basically medical hardship for that employee, maybe a spouse, a child, they need to be missing work, they're out of time. Allowing our employees to donate to other employees.
This is long overdue.
This is really long overdue.
I had a request from my union membership to
Yep.
include that too.
So if it's here, you might not have to deal with it in your union contract if we
Both-
have it in here.
both
And I
of our-
I mean, to me, it's just the right thing to do. Again, it's really up to the employee. I made the wording here real quick. The committee will definitely fine tune this better. But I've got one employee that said, I'll be the first one to give somebody some of my vacation, but I don't want anybody else's. It's kind of like those benefits. It's a personal decision by the employee.
Yeah.
So, just
This
kind
would definitely make our next two union negotiations easier also,
I
if we
just-
could handle it this way.
I just think it's the right thing to do.
Yep.
And again, I hope we never have to use this policy. I hope we never have anybody in that circumstance, but you've had the conversations with some folks, so it's there, we need it. The bottom of page 5 was something actually one of our previous committees had in the document as proposed, and I wanted to throw it out there for you guys to kind of digest. A sick leave payout for normal retirement or a disability/disability retirement. We've got the bullet points there is a couple of definitions of what that means, and it'd be getting paid 25% of their sick leave that they accrue. One reason companies do this is so people just don't use their sick leave as extra leave. They get to the maximum, we could even put something like that, if you are at the maximum, that's when you get it. I don't know, just something for you to think on if this is something you want to do.
Currently,
there is nothing. They do not get, they get their vacation, they get their sick leave converted to vacation paid out.
I think my union group has a payout.
But they're sick?
Both unions have a sick leave conversion.
Okay.
What you're saying, there's already a contract.
For them. Okay, so that would be making it more
So this
consistent
would
with the
be-
unions.
Okay, so you're considering this for all employees then?
Yes.
Not just the ones covered under contract?
Right, right. This is our personnel policy manual is the all employee.
And I think for non-union, it's what, 960 hours?
998.
Yeah, 980?
998, something like that.
Okay.
It's a lot.
960.
I thought it was 960.
For some reason, 960 sticks in my head. Okay.
I didn't hear that one.
We can get some clarification on that. Top of next page, I didn't update my slide very well, so cross out sick leave payout for normal retirement, because that's from the previous slide. I got into a separation area, and here it's something I've heard discussed in other meetings. It talks about that you cannot possess firearms in the courthouse. And this is new wording from one of the committees, but I'm not thinking we can, we probably need some sort of policy on firearms. You need to have the permit to carry, we need to have it registered. That's something we've talked about in other things, so.
Of course, that's state law.
It is state law,
You
so maybe
cannot-
we just cross that out too,
Yeah, you can't carry unless you have a permit.
unless you have a permit. But are we allowing them, on here it says you can't carry
Well, the judges said they can't be in the court.
in the court.
Court.
Right, up 4 and 5, but we don't.
I don't know how far they would actually say, the elevator is part of that, the back door is part of that. So far they haven't, but
Yeah.
I could see.
So it's something to think about. Do we want to just have our policy silent on it and put it more in our security policy?
There's signs on the fourth floor that say hallways and corridors.
Common areas.
Yeah, which would include basically the entire courthouse minus offices.
So you could leave it in your office and throw it up in the window.
Well,
Sounds
that's-
safe.
I'm just saying, the signs on the fourth floor are very general. I don't know who made the sign, I don't know, it's not spelled out well.
That came down from Justice Wilkie through ISAC, and it's one of the things that if we simply request that we don't follow that, that they must grant that request. And we have to go from there.
Okay. So something else we can kind of think about. Bottom of page 6 is a clothing allowance. It's some new wording. Kind of, is that something you want to do? So think about a clothing allowance. I know I'm getting long here, so I'm going to kind of go a little bit quicker here. So think about that clothing allowance, because we do have some departments that kind of need. One of them is conservation. They've kind of upped the rules on that, on him. Mike was talking to me about that. I know there's a few, probably Lucas and his group, should have safety shoes on some jobs and those type of things, so.
I would like to see cold weather here, but that's me.
So
Yeah.
no more shorts and tennis shoes then?
It depends on the policy.
And, yeah. Okay, top of the next page is college tuition. We do have something in our current policy. We have no dollar amount in there. So I think that's probably something we need to have some sort of a dollar amount in there.
I thought we put in something on amount of hours.
This is out of our current manual, and there's nothing, but
In 8 years, I think Lucas was the only person that ever asked for anything.
yeah, I don't think it's, I've not heard that it's used
Yeah.
much, but I think there should be something here, whether it's hours, I'd feel better about a dollar amount, because some of and you go down to Drake, it's a lot different than going to Iowa State.
Or MCC.
Or MCC, yeah, depending on, or, Buena Vista, I mean, we've got that right here in Marshalltown, and can be kind of pricey, but it's handy. So, just some things to think about. Finally, my little miscellaneous, I've got a couple items. We do not have a personal appearance policy. Clothing, what are you supposed to wear to work? Don't wear, I shouldn't be in my paint clothes and shorts and a t-shirt. That would be not appropriate for me in the office. Might be way more appropriate for Lucas and his job when he's painting. That works. It's
Or if it's 100 degrees and we're outside.
and you're outside. But I think we need a little something. It also gives us a little teeth if we have somebody not dressing appropriately who work with the public, gives us a little teeth. We also reference our personnel appearance policy as a way, as a means of separation from the county, but I couldn't find one. Oops. Also, yeah, I know, a credit card acceptance policy. When I started here, here's your credit card, most places have you sign something. I think we need some sort of little policy on if you have a county credit card. So that's another thing I'd recommend. My final note there is just kind of the process of what I see. The committee will update the policy, get it to where we want it. We'll have Ehlers and Cooney, who is our HR law firm, make sure our I's are dotted and T's are crossed. We are not going to have 30-minute conversations on whether the wording should be the or an. I'm just not going there.
Is?
No. May and shall, I'll have that conversation, but not the and an. And then we will bring it to you for approval at one of these meetings. There'll be multiple readings if I remember my parliamentary correctly.
Timeline?
We are meeting May 17th. We have a meeting already set on our calendars.
Set in the mind.
And May 15th is our next board meeting here, so we can get your direction prior to our meeting. Elected officials will sign off. I also want all employees to sign off that they've accepted it. That's kind of normal
Yes.
normal, boring HR process, but it's just acknowledges that they've read it.
Okay.
I went over my 7 minutes, obviously. Don't even stick up your hands, Lucas. Any other topics you all can think of, anyone here can think of? Is there anything? I had Mary look through this as well. She had a file. She's kind of added to my file. There's a lot of things we're going to fix wording on. You don't care. You don't care that we're changing auditor's office to auditor, recorder, accounting department. Many times we need them to go to Mary and Sue. We have some fixy things like that.
Thank you for your time
Yeah.
that you spent. We're not done, I realize.
Yeah, but we've got to start, and I want to try to make it, I don't want 3 years of meetings and then have this not get approved. I want to get it approved, and you know what? Probably 2 years from now, we're going to be having the same conversation.
I was going to say 3 years would be fast.
That's sad.
It's taken 8 years to get to this point. And 5 auditors.
Yeah, we just need to get it done.
Okay.
So we will discuss this next meeting, but at least I won't have to explain so much. You guys can just give me kind of direction for our group. So, sound good?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on then to item number 19, targeted case management lease. Discussion and possible action to approve renewal of the targeted case management lease. This is the building across the street we call the annex, which is the old bank building. And let's have some discussion on this before we actually get into a motion. That's not parliamentary correct, but that's what we're going to do. So we've got Jill. Do you have some comments, Jill? Let's start out with you then, if
Just
we
a
may,
couple
please.
of things. The thing that I wanted to make sure that you knew, this is really not the renewal of the lease, it's the discussion about whether to enter into a renewal of the lease, because the terms would not be currently what the same space that they're renting. They've asked to rent 3 offices for 3 people, and they have had as many as 11 people in there, but they've downsized through the recent MCO changes. And so that's the one thing that I wanted to make sure that you're not renewing or looking at the same lease space. It would be significantly less.
We're down to 3.
Yes.
And did they state that if we did not renew their lease, that they would go somewhere fairly close?
I don't know that that would be our decision or anything, but yeah, they understand that there's a possibility that you would not renew
And
the
I'm
space
not
for
so
3
sure,
offices.
Even with changes at DHS that are going on, that we're going to continue to have 3.
Yeah, I do not know, so.
That's way above our pay grade.
Okay, there's, if we have room, if they're not there, we can move our 2 people from our
Veterans Affairs.
County Veterans Affairs. We can move them in. We have a county nurse perhaps needing a place to be. Mary Swartz is our mental health advocate. She doesn't really need an office, but every once in a while she needs a place to sit and do paperwork. And so she would be perhaps in and out, maybe a couple times a month, once a week.
Who is that?
Mary Swartz.
Mary Swartz.
What does she do?
She is our mental health advocate. She basically is 4th floor.
She may from time to time use an office on the 4th floor or a conference room. And does she ever use the office over here with the magistrate?
That was what we were going to do, but I don't know that she does.
Okay.
I don't see her there in the hall anymore.
And that's
Pulled all
pretty,
the gear out of there.
Yeah.
Especially since Mary has an office up in Hardin, we haven't historically needed to provide her.
Yeah,
file cabinets in the future.
That's her main office, is in Hardin County. Mary does a great job. We're not trying to move her here and there to hide her or anything. It does a great job.
And typically, if she's going to meet somebody, isn't it with a client?
Which would be a HIPAA deal. And that whole building, if we do what we're talking about, it'll all be HIPAA anyway, so.
When Mary comes to our office, sometimes she'll meet with Lisa to discuss a common client or something like that. And sometimes she's used our conference room to get her computer up and do a few things, answer some quick emails and stuff if she's got another appointment in between. So it would just be an occasional kind of place but it would be nice to have a little workstation or something for her. We've also got mobile crisis that is coming to Marshall. Again, not located here, but would it be a community services connection that they might be able to stop and, use a workstation, fax some things if we got to that place where we had some confidential areas that people could use. So that was one of the other things I had thought about. So thank you.
So if we don't renew this lease, it gives us the option of bringing these other organizations in.
Yes. Now, with that said, it's all, with the HIPAA thing, and you go over, and when we looked at it here a couple weeks ago, there's, a couple feet between the top of the walls and the ceiling. And particularly someone I'm gonna guess with a deep voice, that's gonna roll right over the top and everyone can hear it. We would need to have some sort of extension.
Yeah, we need to extend some walls. There'd be some ventilation work that would need to be done right now. But I think the main reason for the three-quarter walls would have been air movement. So we need to add some duct work for return, so we don't have tons of miles of pressure in little offices that just get lots of supply.
Okay, and this is something that you and your crew could do?
Most of it, yeah.
I'm not trying to put it on you, I'm just asking the question.
Yeah. Building walls and stuff, that's great, but, you have to change out some in-ceiling work. We probably run some network, probably some power to a couple different places. We'd have to add some duct work into the heating cooling system.
Funding-wise, are we going to be able to use any of the funds from the mental health region?
That's a question to Jill there.
Because we've got substantial reserves we sent into that region when we entered it.
There would be some possibility. We have been paying rent out of the mental health region for the past year into the general fund. Is that right, Lucas? General fund? I believe so. And so there has been some rent during this past year that should be available for that. That was the intent of that. We are trying to work on making our offices trauma-informed. That's been a big push within our region, and so there could be some monies available to help bring us up to a trauma-informed status, and that we can talk about some of that as well. So
I think our intent when we started taking the rent from the region that those rent dollars went back into the facility.
I believe that's the discussion that we did have.
I don't know if Mary made a separate line item for that in buildings and grounds for those funds coming from the region strictly back to you for that facility, but if I remember right, that was our intent.
Costs.
Okay.
I have budget line items for building improvement. I think it's just an offset cost, not a direct line item.
Okay.
And DHS has been co-located with us for the last 10 plus years, and I mean it's a great fit. It's just whether or not the board's wishes to be able to utilize the space differently, since they are going to rent so little of it, because they've rented most of the space except for the three of us in my department up until this year.
Do we have room to bring everybody back and keep DHS? Or is that going to get too crowded?
I think that would be up to Lucas regarding the remodeling.
Could work, yeah. It's a lot more work.
Suggestions?
My suggestion?
Yeah, your buildings and grounds.
My suggestion would be not to renew the lease. Let's free up some of the space for more associated county functions.
Jill?
I'm leaving this one up to you. I've been co-located with them for many years and, you know, have enjoyed working with them, but I understand the need for the building space.
What if we tabled this for 2 weeks?
Give it some more
Give it some
thought.
thought.
Well, at the same time, if we table it, their lease is coming up here, they really need
Would that
an
get too
answer.
close? They need
to know.
information
Yeah,
now.
whether they're gonna stay or go.
Yeah, they're waiting to hear today.
Okay.
First of July, they have to be somewhere. And, that puts the bug on us. I like the idea of having more room and more potential for our county to use that facility. And I understand it's gonna take a little bit of money to do that. And not that you're not busy.
Oh, we have tons of time.
I see, I know, yeah, no, I know, you're a busy guy, your whole department's a busy. So, this thing might not happen, overnight, I understand.
No,
And,
there are other things that are already we're started on.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
gonna be
yeah.
a long process. The process, I think, today is just letting DHS know if we're going to renew or not.
Mhm. Any further questions, comments? The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to not renew the targeted case management lease for the coming year.
Okay, could I back up a second? Parliamentary-wise, it gets difficult having a double negative. Could we?
That's a good point.
Could we have, if we want to do something, let's have it as it is stated, that to renew it, and then we can vote it down, or we can vote it in, and then it's more clear, and we don't.
Okay.
I've been places where we've had negative motions, and then people are wondering, okay, if I vote yes, what does that mean? If I vote no, what? Okay.
That's the teacher coming
It's
out
the
of it right
definition
now,
of
isn't
is,
it?
is.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
it could go on and on there, yeah. Okay, anyway, that's my suggestion.
Mr. Chair,
as the chair.
I would make a motion to renew the targeted case management lease.
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded then to remove, the renewal, I can't talk, time to change the meeting, get over it. Renewal of targeted case management lease. Any further discussion then? If not, roll call vote, please.
Solosik.
No.
Patton.
No.
Thompson.
No.
Okay, that motion has not passed. Moving on then to item number 20, Resolution 2018-0025, speed limit on Underwood Avenue in Greencastle Township. Paul, do you have comments on this?
This is a speed limit change on, it's a section of Underwood that goes from E63 right by Ferguson down to Greencastle, which would be our, the Greencastle, the park area there. It's a little bit less than a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a roadway that it slowly got improved. It got some type of seal coat and some type of, and then we did do a hot mix overlay on it when we were working on E63. My only issue is that the vertical grades, the vertical curves don't give you enough sight distance for being 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. And we are going to see with the hopeful development of a campground there, some larger camping trailers and campers that we would like to have, the speed down, because they're not going to be as familiar with the roadway and where issues are as far as the possible, traffic issues. So 35 fits more about with what the vertical curves of that roadway, just as far as stopping sight distance goes.
Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I would motion that we adopt Resolution 2018-0025, changing the speed limit on Underwood Avenue in Greencastle Township.
Your second.
I'll second.
It's been moved and second to adopt Resolution 0025. If there's no further discussion, questions, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes?
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay,
Just a
this is-
comment, these new maps are wonderful
Aren't they?
with Beacon.
Figure we could just practice and, use it as a reference point. There's a lot of stuff that's related to section and township that, and when I saw the rooms kind of getting full, I didn't know how many of them didn't know where we were from.
This is, this is great.
Okay, then moving on then to item number 21, there's another resolution, 2018-0026, speed limit on North Center Street in Marshalltown, Iowa. And Paul, again, comments.
Similar safety concerns on this stretch of road. It's currently not regulated speed, and similar to the vertical curve issues for sight distance, but on this route, it's horizontal curves that you can't see around when you're coming around. The other problem with this route is what we call clear zone. There are power poles within 6 feet of the traveled way. I mean, there's just places where it's just it's going to be a safer route with the amount of turning traffic going into the bridge right around the river and turning traffic going into the waterworks. And I would just be extending the speed limit out past the field entrance just north of the waterworks. So it would actually be 35 past the first 3 bridges, and then we would go back to normal rural speed limits.
Is the radio station before or after
The
that?
radio station's just north of that map. You can see the south edge of the parking lot, I think.
Okay.
There.
There you go.
No, actually, it's a little further. They're past all 4 bridges.
Okay.
You were just wondering, or you have a thought process?
Nope.
Okay.
I thought about taking it further north, but it's straight, and it's, there isn't really a engineering reason to lower the
No.
speed there.
And then you got the curve, where most people go.
The intersection with Sand Road.
Right.
Okay, any further discussion? Steve, you have a question? If not, the chair will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd make a motion to adopt resolution number 2018-0026, speed limit on North Center Street in Marshalltown, Iowa.
Mr. Chair, I will second that.
Been moved and seconded to adopt the resolution 0026. If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Solosik,
Yes?
Patton,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay. Resolution 0026 has been approved and adopted. Okay. Moving on then to item number 22. And this is for discussion. Application of dust control on Dillon Road. Discussion on the application of dust control on 2 miles of Dillon Road between 270th and 290th Street. Okay. At this time, we'll open the discussion on that. Steve, you want to start out?
Yeah, Bill, I've never gotten so much feedback about anything in this last year and a half as I have on what's going on here on the Dillon Road. We've had some near misses, evidently. I guess if people aren't aware, there's the traffic is now using the Dillon Road since 146 is closed. And there's been some near misses and a lot of concern from people in that community. So I'm just throwing that out there at this point. Paul, do you have anything?
I've had some citizen concerns, just messages and, hey, can you look at this? I'm really happy the DOT is doing work in Marshall County and that they're repairing that grade work is going to be a summer-long project. And the rock still has to come out of the quarry and all the ag purposes still have to continue. And so even though it's not the marked detour, it's being used, because it just, if you're gonna try to get from south of La Grande and go on Highway 30, this is just a quick cutoff, and it's 2 miles of rock, but it's 2 miles that we're really having to babysit constantly right now just to keep it usable. I did get a quote for applying dust control to the 2 miles. I had conversation with the DOT. Their policy has been that they would cover dust control at residences and at intersections. And when I total up the footage that they would participate in, it would be 3,100 feet that I would propose that they pay for. I don't have a green light on that yet, but the resident construction engineer, Dustin Skogerbo, has told me that in the past they have done this, so it's doable.
They'll pay 100% of that?
Of the areas right now. I haven't talked about multiple applications, because I'm thinking it's going to take at least 2 applications to get us through there, and possibly a third.
That's what I thought.
The other thing that, you know, even if the DOT wasn't participating, we are having to put rock on this route roughly every 2 weeks. It's rocked well right now, but it's not going to last very long with the truck traffic that it's getting, because so much of it's just going right up into the air.
I think we've got some folks that would like to speak to this.
I just wanted to share with you the cost that I've got here. The first application would be right around $7,000, and later applications would be a slightly lower rate, because there's already a base material down for the dust control.
That's on the 3,000 feet that you're talking about?
That would be the cost for doing 10,000 feet. It's going to do 2 miles, 10,000.
And that was how much?
$7,000. $7,075 would be exact, if we're right on the foot count.
And the state would pay for 3,100 foot of that?
I would propose to the state that they cover 3,100. I don't have the foot. I don't know how much they'll pay on intersection approaches, and there's 3 of those. So I'm proposing 500 feet on each intersection approach, and 400 feet on a house, because that's what we use as a standard dust control application for residents when they get it through us.
400 combined feet, or 400 north
combined,
and south?
400 combined.
200 each way, okay.
But I guess the other thing I wanted to make sure is that you know is that calcium chloride will stabilize this route and help it won't require as much maintenance, and it certainly won't require as much rock. We have already put $7,000 worth of rock on this road this spring, and we'll have to do it again next month, and you know what I mean? It's something that's going to keep going. So likely paying for the dust control for the calcium chloride will pay for itself just in rock savings. And you'll be able to see when you drive down the road.
Yes, comments? Come to the mic and state your name and your address. Appreciate you doing that.
Robin Mann. I live at 3154 280th Street, so it's right between these two. I'm a mile on the gravel there. I'm back to the east, about a half a mile. Since they've closed that road, we get probably 3 to 4 times the traffic cutting on our road besides the Dillon Road. So 90% of the time when we come this direction to come to town, we usually use the Dillon Road. We've got about a mile and a half, 3 different directions for us to get to a blacktop. But the Dillon Road is the shortest route for us to come in. And lately, we've been meeting semis, gravel trucks, which we occasionally get in the fall during harvest. You know, that's just part of living out there. But now that road's closed, a couple times when we meet the gravel trucks or the semis, which are cutting through that route right now, you got to pull over and stop. It's wide out, and they're not always traveling 50 miles an hour, but hopefully they're not, you know. And it's scary, it really is. And I've lived there for 38 years, never used dust control. This year I just made it under the wire thanks to Paul the other day. We had that north wind. We're on the south side of the road, so it's normally not bad for us. We've kind of gotten by, but boy, this year with all the traffic, it's really bad because of the closing on 146. So I know that's off the Dillon Road thing, but because of that, it's really bad. It's pretty scary on the Dillon Road right now sometimes. So I see they were running some gravel trucks the other day, and they've been putting gravel on the roads, which is great. But I've been seeing them go quite a bit lately, and I think some of the construction crews on the road itself are actually coming up and down our east and west roads there also. So it's kind of scary right now. So just wanted to voice our opinion.
Yeah, thank you.
I've been down there, and yeah, yesterday it was really windy. The guys were dropping a lot of gravel.
So anyway,
I think at the least, especially if the state will cover it, which it sounds like they should, my main concern, what I saw, was definitely want to see the intersection covered, because without question, that's a hazard. Spoke to one person at a seed business, and they mentioned several close calls at an intersection just to the north of them. There's one residence right when you come off of the hardtop onto the granular service that's on the west side, that their driveway. So really from where it goes granular all the way down.
You want to see a map
Yeah.
while we're looking at it.
anyway.
Is there anything that we can do for Robin at this point?
What I'm-
Being on an east-west road?
I'm hoping if we make the dust control happen on Dillon Road, that it causes maybe an increase in traffic on that, and they won't use it as much. The other thing we'll have is that the operation that was causing most of the traffic out there was when they were doing the pavement removal on the 2 miles of 146, and I think they're done with that.
I don't know.
As far as Manat's hauling out removed pavement from that 2 miles of 146, that's over. The next tough time is gonna be when they get to where they're paving, but we're quite a ways off from that. We're gonna see the truck traffic from the quarry, because the quarry has rock going north, and if that rock needs to get to Highway 30 and if it's going, east, they're gonna use Dillon.
Where's their concrete plant gonna be?
I do not know. I'm thinking it may be over at Wendling Quarries. I'm not sure. They're like I said, they're so far off from paving that they're grading that 2 miles south of LeGrand.
Yeah, I talked to my daughter this morning. She lives 2 miles north on 50th, and
The first one.
they're the first one south off of 30, and she is getting quite a bit of that. They're on the north side, but it's even pretty tough for her. She's a little scared for her kids driving to school sometimes. It's so bad right now. There's not many residents on that road, but
260 had got to the place where we had to close it on the weekend because it was soft, and we tried getting rock in it, but we couldn't stay ahead of it. But that's when they were hauling the pavement removal out.
so yeah, any of the folks on those 2 or 3 roads there are getting a bunch of traffic right now. It's kind of scary right now.
Well, 2 of us now, that they closed, no 3 of us. Yeah. It's scary, you can't see, just at intersections will not cut it either. From the church, right there is room bars by the pond, and then from there to our corner is horrible.
It's a whiteout.
It is white.
I had a little bit of a close call the other day going over to the elevator.
What's the speed limit on a gravel road?
55 day, 45 night.
Okay. No one does, you can 50 people. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. We've had so much traffic in the night. We have an archery shop, and so we have people go out our other drive because right there, we're just over a hill. Yeah.
It's pretty noticeable up till probably 10:30 at night anymore. Well, you can just tell the increased traffic.
I wouldn't want to consider just doing the intermittent residences and things. I would want to.
Where you live on that?
Oh, let's see if I can figure out where I'm at on this thing. Get my bearings here once.
Where the church is?
So this is the church? It sounds like that might be it. So I'm just 1 mile south.
Residences on that 2 miles.
Yep, so then I'm right. Where's the railroad tracks? Look, I think this might be me right here.
Okay.
I'm just past the railroad tracks on the south side, so.
That's about a
this-
half a mile over.
Yeah, I'm about here, you know, and they're using quite a few of these roads. I think this first two come through now, and the other two are probably closed or they're working. But yeah, this particular stretch, this is scary right to here. I'm assuming this is the Ferguson Blacktop down this way somewhere. It's really scary right now when you.
From here.
Yeah, I think this is me, probably me right here on the south side of the road right here on 280th.
Here, this is a quarter.
Yeah.
And 80, and this is a half, so this is.
Yeah, I think I'm sitting right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we usually turn and go at this, yeah, it's pretty scary right now. We get a little bit of that in the fall during harvest time normally, but this year's exceptionally bad, so.
Right there.
Thank you.
That's where you go.
Thanks, Robin.
I'm also afraid when it does rain, if it ever rains and you get a good rain, that road turns to crap, just on regular travel. And now with all the traffic, it's gonna be a mess, period.
You're talking about the Dillon Road now again? Yeah.
Don't know.
Now, we may see some improvement as they get 146 South done. That's the cold in place recycle that they're gonna be doing, and Manats is working on that already too. That project has working days counting, and it's gonna be done sometime, I would say, in July, just based on where they're at. But, so we may see that traffic on the Dillon Road subsides a little bit, but it's gonna really hit 260th at that point, because that's where the grading project starts, and that Montour Road. It's from the Montour Road up to Highway 30 that's on the regrade, and that's gonna be closed all summer. But they will get the south parts of 146 all the way down to Gilman completed here midsummer.
So they're gonna be working on that midsummer too, so that's gonna be all closed.
It's not gonna be graded though, and I think it's gonna be built under traffic. I'm not positive because it's the DOT road, but that'll be.
Everybody will go, oh, I'm not gonna wait for that, I'm gonna go down this road. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know why anybody goes down our road, because we're a mile off Ferguson Blacktop, and it's like, duh, why would you go on the gravel road if you didn't have to?
Yeah.
We wouldn't if we didn't have to.
There won't, I'm just saying after midsummer, there won't be
Yeah.
much reason to use 280th.
Yeah. We hope.
Maybe just 2 or 3 reasons.
We appreciate you guys coming in and explaining your situation. Sometimes we can look at a map and think we understand, but, you know, we
You just come
appreciate.
and sit on our deck and watch.
Yeah.
And we're not even on the Dillon Road, so
Yeah.
it's totally.
You make iced tea, do you?
I sure will.
Okay. This was put on for discussion, but Paul, this is kind of up to you then. If you can get, and I thought from the very beginning, the DOT ought to be, my first thought was the DOT ought to do the whole thing. But,
And it's,
you know, a guy could suggest that and see how far their eyes cross.
it would definitely be the DOT if it was a marked detour and their detour, but their detour actually is E63 out to 14 and back on. But
I know,
but
that
nobody
that
uses
isn't going to work. Yeah.
But just from the engineering standpoint of saving rock and making the road be a lot safer, there's a lot worse ways we could spend
You can save
$7,000.
You can save $7,000 in rock by
Easily save
by putting the
$7,000,
calcium chloride
yes.
on.
Because that's basically 2 applications of light rock on that 2 miles.
I would say the thing to do here is leave this up to the best judgment of the engineer.
There we go.
I think
I
that's
don't
the way
even- I
that's the
don't
way
think-
that's the way it's set up.
Okay.
I don't think we even need to take any action,
No.
because it's a discussion item anyway.
Is there any value to lowering the speed limit on that 2 miles?
There's no feasible way to get it
Nobody's going
enforced
to
anyway.
enforce it.
It's, I know the speed limit's 55 and 45 at night, but I really try to make roads that you can hit 70 on. I want them to be smooth enough that you can do that. I mean, that's the,
Don't print that in the paper. Please.
And you need to be able to
Autobahn.
meet people, you need to
Yeah.
be able to pass and meet,
Yeah.
so
The-
to make the better road is what
yeah.
you're.
I want everybody to be safe and comfortable at 45 and 55, and I was behind a truck doing 35 on Dillon Road. I didn't feel safe or comfortable.
Yeah. It's in your
Okay,
hands.
thank you. That's just what I wanted.
Item number 23 is Marshall County Employee Health and Prescription Drug Benefit Plan and Marshall County Employee Dental Benefit Plan, all rolled together there. Discussion and possible action on setting the monthly rates. Now, if you flip it over, there's a chart on the other side that says the same thing. And that gives you an idea. The chart is done so that the employees can see what they pay per person, per month, annually. You can see what the employer pays per month, annually, and then when we put them together, clear over on the right side of this chart, you can see the three different types of policies that we have. We have a single person, we have an employee with one dependent, and the third one is an employee with two or more, or what we call the family plan. And you can see the total dollars then for that, and that gives you a little bit of an idea of what this whole thing is about. So if you have a family and it's $1,745.84 total bill per month, that's the employer and employee together. That gives you a little bit of an idea. You're pushing $20,000 for that policy per year, and one of the things that we try very hard is to make the insurance program, first of all, top quality, and then also make it more accessible for people, and we have been able to lower the premium rate that our employee has to pay. And in that particular case, we got a $20,000 policy per year, and an employee then would pay $70.86 per month, and which is up there close to that $1,000 per year participation. So what we're asking here today, guys, is that we, going back to item 23 here then, it shows the single at $812. Okay, that's total. That's total monthly rate for employee and our county. Next one is employee plus one at $1,306.70. That again is a monthly cost. And the family at $1,745.84, which is a monthly cost. All three showing a combination of the employee and the county put together. The dental down here is at $36.50, $73, and $83.50. Now, questions, comments?
Heck of a deal, guys, heck of a deal.
Yeah.
We have an extremely good healthcare plan. It's part of our total compensation package for our employees. I know it looks as though they may not be contributing a ton, but it's been part of the compensation package where our raises may not have been as great as they could have been, but it was better to pay more of the contribution towards the health care for our total compensation package. It's more advantageous for the employer, it's more advantageous for the employee. We've got a heck of a program, and
Probably good to note here that
Yep.
these rates are remaining the same.
yeah.
Yes.
So that's probably a good.
That's the reason for
With
this.
our
Is to know.
renewals, yep.
Yeah.
Yes, yep.
And we were really able to do this because of the health partner change.
Yep.
So those are two, keeping it flat. Most places don't get to keep it flat.
This doesn't happen. This is
Not
a
in this day and age.
absolute rarity.
I have some neighbors in their early 60s who are farming. They buy their own. They're healthy, but it's costing them close to $30,000. And that's a lot of money. If we don't have any further discussion or comments or questions, the chair would entertain a motion.
Can I say something? Is there any value in not charging anything, the single? They're paying $5.88 a month now. Would there be any bookkeeping advantages, or you would like to keep those
think we
folks
need
with
to
skin
keep
in the
them,
game?
That's,
Okay.
That's my thought also, Steve. I think everyone needs to, if you don't pay a little bit, then you don't realize that it's there. $5.86 is 2 cups of coffee.
That's just unheard of.
I don't think
That's
that's,
unheard of.
I don't think that's too much to ask.
if something is free, that's the perceived value of it.
Yeah, that's a valid point. That's true.
So initially, we have the employee contribution for, was it 2 or 3 years was the plan?
Yes,
Is that?
we're in year 2.
We're in year 2. Are we still, I mean, we're still looking at, I mean, with the savings that we're at, are we hoping to continue that maybe further? Is the.
That is our
overall
goal.
Here? Okay.
My crystal ball is somewhat cracked from time to time and a little bit fuzzy.
Yeah. But we're
We-
moving in the proper direction.
We
to
are
hopefully
without question,
do that.
we are moving in the proper direction.
No big claims.
Yes.
Is what we need.
Yeah, and I understand there's tons of variables to it, but that, you know, that's our overall hope and goal is to stay at that level.
It would be wonderful to be able to come out at the end of this next budget year to have adequate reserves within our self-funded reserves, and to not see significant increases after we've gone through health partners, and for our employees, God willing, to not have any terrible claims. Those are act of gods. There's no possible way we can predict it, but it would be absolutely our goal is at the end of our 3 years of the reduced contribution, not only from the employees, but what we have levied to the taxpayers to continue to keep our dollars down. It would be wonderful to be able to make another 3-year commitment to that. That, I would say that's a goal, yes.
Yeah, okay. I was just curious on that.
On item 24, it has in print the non-union employee, but the union, that's a negotiated thing, and theirs is exactly the same. So I feel good about that. It works well. I'm not sure that we need. I'm still questioning why we have both motions.
I was too. I was wondering that as well.
Yeah, and I
Because
question.
really 24 is just more informational for 23. It gives you
Yeah.
what really the total costs are. You can really see what it does cost the county when you start multiplying it by people. It gets a lot more of a real number.
I'm happy with just doing one.
I think we need to do 23 to set our rates.
And come back, yeah.
And then really 24 is just discussion and information. I don't think we need to have a vote on
I
24.
concur. The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I would motion that we approve the monthly rates for fiscal year 2019 as set out above.
And I'll second.
Been moved and seconded, and that's on item 23. Any further discussions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Solosik?
Yes?
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, and I think we've thoroughly discussed item number 24. And if it's okay with everyone, let's leave that as a discussed item that we'll come back to at another time.
So we will not make a motion then?
I would say.
Well, because it's discussion and possible action.
Yeah.
See any action.
Okay.
There's no need to take the action. Okay.
And it's redundant.
Oh, it's because of the rates. That's why we need to do it, is because we're setting the employee deduction rate. That's why we need to vote on it.
To be clean, why don't we just?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Let's just do it.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the non-union employee contribution rates for health insurance for FY19 as set out above.
Mr. Chair, I would second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Hold on, we can't do that. Roll call vote, please.
Okay, so it's, Steve, you made the motion?
I did.
Thank you. Okay, ready for roll call?
Yes.
Solosik?
Yes.
Patton?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Sorry, I had to erase my,
That's fine. That's fine.
okay.
I had the same.
Yeah, yep, I agree. That's why we were doing the setting the rates. Setting the
Okay.
rates, okay.
Okay, that has passed. Moving on then to 25. Paul, we're going to bring you up again on secondary roads award of contract for project FM C064 on the 127-5564 discussion of possible action on to award the contract with Manats Incorporated of Brooklyn, Iowa. This project consists of HMA resurfacing on E41 /235 Street from east city limits to State Center, east 9 miles to Iowa Highway 330. This project is funded from Farm and Market funds, and this project was let at the DOT in Ames in Iowa on April 17, 2018. Okay.
And this is just having the board award the contract to Manats, who was read as the low bidder on the 17th at the letting. We've used Manats quite a bit in the past and been real happy with their work. The only downside is that they are working on 146 with the crew that I imagine is going to be on our road. So there's in all likelihood, they won't start our project until after RegBri comes through, but that also means that there isn't going to be any problem coordinating when RegBri is coming through on the 25th of July, because likely their project, this project will begin after that date, just because of where that crew's at down on the east side of the county.
So that makes their completion time.
The late start date on this contract is shown on there, but I think, is it the 27th of July? It's late July. I don't have it in front of me, I should have brought it. The award just gets the process rolling for us, and then we send the contracts to the contractor, and the contractor sends us a signed contract and a performance bond, which I'll bring to the chairman and let you sign a contract and bond. It should be on the last page. It's usually listed right where they show working days.
You're gonna have to find it.
It usually lists liquidated damages.
I was just wondering what road Nan's going to have to try to.
Late start date's July 30th, and they're giving us 50 working days, so that's, it sounds like, yeah,
Too much.
it may be a while before they start that project, but that also benefits us because we've got some work we want to do as far as
Okay, so
some
it could well be into October. Not the end of October, but into October.
I'd be surprised if it's still going on that late, but
Okay.
yeah, it's,
Okay. September, definitely.
it's gonna be late summer when they work on it.
RagBri goes through,
25th of July.
okay, so they could have August and September to work on it. And it may not take them 6 months.
Well, and that's the way the working days contract works. The late start date is when the working days start counting, when there's days that are fit for work. So on the 1st of August, if it's fit to work, they'll start getting charged working days. And they've got 50 allowed. So in any given month, or on a good month, there's 20 working days. So they would have all of August, all of September, and likely most of October to fit it into their schedule.
Okay. If there's no further questions.
It's in the fine print.
What,
Is it just a mile?
which, just a
Oh,
mile?
no. Oh, no,
9.5.
Oh,
All the way to State Center.
From State Center to 330.
oh, 230. Not just a mile.
You have to drive across it. It's work.
It's a big road for a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I would motion that we award this contract to Manance Incorporated of Brooklyn, Iowa.
What's the price? I should have looked it up, I'm sorry.
In the amount of $2,085,605.30.
They need the 30 cents.
Yeah, I was thinking the
I
same
agree with
thing.
you.
Is there a second?
I want
I would
to double
second.
check that amount.
Yes.
$2,085,000.
Yes.
Okay.
605.30.
Okay.
Cool.
If there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Lozick.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay. Item 25, been passed.
Marathon today.
Yes, sir.
Dis-
The next one is approving an assignment of certificate of purchase and tax sale to the following resolution 2018-0027.
Where'd all my fans go? All right, this is this was on the city's nuisance list, and then actually the neighbor started mowing it, and so it got off their nuisance list, and then that neighbor got with the city to try to garner a deal. So what the city wants to do is get this tax sale certificate assigned to them. I will, once, if it goes through the full process and it does get to the deed, that the city would get the deed, I would recommend abatement of taxes of the $2,773. Approximately 96 of that is the original base tax amount to the county. So a lot of it's special assessment from all the mowing, and then just the interest and penalty racked up on the tax sale.
So all the county is giving up is $96.
Of the base tax, correct.
There you go.
The chair would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to adopt resolution number 2018-0027, approving the assignment of certificate of purchase at tax sale to the parcels listed.
Mr. Chairman, I would second that.
It has been moved and seconded to adopt resolution 2018-0027. Any further questions? If not, roll call vote, please.
Solosik.
Yes.
Patton.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Okay. Item number 26, resolution 0027 has been adopted. Down to item 26, public forum is a time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on this agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in the public forum.
I got something quick.
Adam, as per your personnel policy at the TR, do you get overtime for today because you've been here for 2 hours?
If I don't get overtime for the 3-hour school board meeting I just had to do last week, I probably.
Yeah, but
Probably-
ours are
I'd
much
say-
more exciting.
Quickly.
The new door lock upgrade will start the 10th, so next week on Thursday. They're going to work Thursday, Friday, and then probably be back Tuesday. So I'm hoping it's not a really long, drawn-out process. I'm hoping they're done in a couple weeks, so just
Without
FYI.
mentioning what the other equipment is it here?
It is not
Not here, but it's ordered.
We have been having conversations with the installers as to the logistics of the locations and various settings. So they're doing the legwork before the equipment arrives at the locale, but they're still on track for the fiscal year.
Yep. We're doing well.
And
Don't
when is
mention-
that
don't
going to be?
mention what it is. It's
Lucas,
courthouse
when is
security.
that going to start next week, you said? The 10th.
That's in reference to the locking the doors around the. Yeah, so we're upgrading electronic door locks on offices. And that actually is what I was gonna ask you guys. I came in the north side today and the doors was locked, is that now a permanent lock, or is that? Which door?
That was an accident.
That's an accident.
Yeah.
That was an accident. The door on the right is unlocked, the door on the left is locked, okay. Gotcha.
He was trying to take the shortest route.
Well, someone happened to be coming out when I came in, so I just went in when they, when they.
Well,
opened the
you
door.
know, being a member of the press, you came through the left door, so it's okay. I gotta have a little fun with you every once in a while.
Okay, moving on here, if there's no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
We don't need a roll call.
We did that
was
one?
public forum.
Oh, I'm sorry, where am I going? I don't know where I'm. Yeah, sorry. 27. Adjournment. The next regular session is May 15, 2018 at 9 a.m. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the County Auditor Recorder's Office or the Board of Supervisors' Office by Thursday, May 10th, 18 at 1 p.m. There being no further business to come before the board meeting is adjourned at 11:10.